We have now established where the Swicket got its name. Kind of. Let's turn our attention to the history of the Swicket. Here with me is Dr. Kevin Dexpointer, who has written over a dozen blog entries on the subject of history. Dr. Dexpointer,
yes.
Would you like to tell us about the construction of the Swicket?
I'd be glad to do so. The Swicket was actually built 3 different times.
You don't say.
I do say.
Would you like to tell us about those times?
Oh, sure. The first time was built by the Eskimos in the 17th century. They used it as a religious structure and a place to hang billboards.
I didn't realize that the Eskimos lived this far south, built towers, or had advertising.
They did, and they did. At least until the Utes drove them off their land.
So the Utes are evil.
Well, not exactly. It wasn't until the white man drove them off their lands. And they, in turn, drove other Native Americans off their lands. The Eskimos were at the bottom, you see, of the social hierarchy, and ended up on the least desirable land on the continent.
Alaska.
Exactly. The Utes at this time were communists, and they didn't believe in religious ceremonies or advertising, so they burned the Swicket down. But it was rebuilt in 1805 by Lewis and Clark.
Why did they rebuild it?
Well, it was Lewis that mainly did the construction. Clark was more concerned with chasing butterflies, you see. Shortly after Lewis had finished construction on the Swicket, Clark had become a communist and burnt the Swicket down.
Well, who built the latest version of the Swicket?
In 1847, Brigham Young saw the charred remains of the Swicket and declared, "This is the place." It was the first building they constructed.
Well, thank you very much, Mr.
You're
Dexpointer.
welcome.
And now we have Troy with our special guest who undoubtedly knows more than he does about this massive construction project.
I'm here with Anastasia Anabiska, a history of scholastic architecture construction major. So Anastasia, do you find me attractive?
What?
We were talking about the Swicket.
Well, construction began in 1847 and took 60 years to complete.
Even with all the midget labor?
What midget labor?
Nothing. We were talking about your eyes.
No, we weren't. We were talking about the Swicket.
Right. Tell me about that.
Well, after building the foundation, they had to cover it in order to hide it from the French.
The French? Hadn't we already made the Louisiana Purchase?
Yes, but the French hadn't vacated the property. They had to cover the foundation, hide in the Alamo, then return and dig it back up.
I hear that Davy Crockett killed Frenchmen on sight. Was he a help in this effort?
No, he was anti-Mormon, but Paul Bunyan and John Henry were crucial to early construction. After digging out the foundation, they found that it had cracked, so they switched from sandstone to granite.
Would love be the foundation of our marriage?
What is wrong with you?
Oh, slip of the tongue. Were there any other holdups to construction, other than the invading French army?
No, everyone pitched in. The women even broke the French china to put in the walls. You can see a whole set of Nashcar Memorial plates on the 3rd floor.
Fascinating stuff. I'll see you Saturday at 7, Anastasia.
No, you won't.
Trust me, they're top quality binoculars. Now back to Diane, who doesn't shave her legs.
Diane Nagasaki here, who does shave her legs, although perhaps not as much as Troy shaves his. Soon after the Swicket was built, it began playing an important role in political affairs, even on the global level. The best example of this is the defenestration of Provo. Some of you may have learned this as the defenestration of Prague, but it actually occurred right here in the Swicket. Prague was just a typo back in the 1950s, and since then textbook authors have been too embarrassed to correct their mistake. Other such typos include: Charlemagne's real name was Bob, the War of 1812 occurred in 1821, and there was no Renaissance.
Let me tell you, she was one fine honey. And that's not just the fasting talking.
So you two get civilly disobedient together?
You're knowing it.
Was auf
lady! Was haben Sie? Franz dog, my good sir. How does it go?
Ah, very well. I'm just finishing my tour of Swicket, waiting for the Archduchess to bring the car around.
Oh, is yours the pimped out Model T outside?
Yeah, of course. It's got the horn that is off the hook.
Smoshing. I say, I do believe I left my Dr. Pepper around. Have you perchance seen it?
Oh, that was yours? Sorry, bro. I thought those were complimentary.
I do believe you've just started World War I.
Over the soda?
Over root beer? No. Sprite? Certainly not. But this is Dr. Pepper. Gandhi, could I trouble you to hand me my cane?
Nein! Oh, that hurt no more! Oh! Ow! Oh! Stop it! Oh! Oh, stop it! Nein!
Oh look! Here's another bottle. Dr. Pepper, worth global warfare.
Indeed, the Swicket often serves as the epicenter for such politically important events. Just last year, when the female faculty tried to secede and form Sheridan University, they chose the Swicket as their headquarters.
Hey, remember when my documentary included me?
Remember when you were riding on a unicorn and saying something remotely intelligent?
No.
That's because neither of them have ever happened.
Wow, it's amazing how bitter you are. What's the dateless weekend tally up to? 146? That's a lot of time to come up with unicorn jokes.
You should have more manners, Troy. Just because your red hair matches your red neck doesn't mean you have to be a hillbilly 24/7.
At least I'm from a red state, unlike some supposedly Japanese narrators. And lay off the hair, it's my catchphrase.
What?
You heard me, my red hair is my catchphrase. You're as deaf as you are irritating.
I heard what you said, but your hair is neither a phrase nor is it catchy.
Oh, it's catchy. Just wait till this airs. You'll see kids all over with red hair.
Eric, do you agree that Troy's ugly and extreme hairstyle is not a catchphrase?
Well, it could be his trademark, but it's certainly not a catchphrase.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey, Shoulder, you just stand there and try not to develop scoliosis. We're trying to narrate.
At least now you're acknowledging me as a co-narrator.
No, that was a royal we. We are displeased with our cameraman. We have awesome red hair, which is our trademark.
This is officially going in my stupidest conversations ever journal. Are you here just to annoy me?
What was the name of that historian from earlier?
Mr. Dex Pointer.
How does it feel being useful, Diane? You should try it more often. I'm now going to go interview Dr. Dex Pointer to find out what role the Swicket takes in international and national affairs.